We have covered the work of Hans Watzlik all the way in episode 9. We will review his 1928 Dämmervolk. The Scream of the Moor is a masterfully atmospheric story of a man who lives on the edge of the moor, and then whenever he hears the moorland reverberate with inhuman screams, leads people in there as a sacrifice. Then one day a woman shows up at his door, but a year later he too sends her away into the moorland. But then he hears a child crying in the moor and goes to find it, only as he carries it away it grows into a man in his arms who threatens to strangle him. So he puts it back and it turns back into an infant. Never sated as a dying miser trick his servants into burying him with all his money. Then they dig him out but find his body horribly contorted in defense of his riches. Greta, the smith's wife, has a man be bossed around by his wife who is a witch, but if anyone tries to tell him she is one, he is close to busting their faces in. Then one day he gives a strange mare ridden by a strange man a new horseshoe, and the next day he finds his wife in bed with a horseshoe nailed to her foot. The band thief has a strange shepherd in the mountains who never speaks and says his name is the devil, meet a man trying to steal his sheep. A man who somehow, somewhere, the shepherd had banished to hell for 1,000 years. Slow Life has Eustach Höfer go to the moor to earn his daily bread. When he hears a strange metallic noise coming from the ground and digs up a sunken church. Climbing down he finds a pair of massive metal church bells, one Catholic and one Lutheran, and a church full of heavily armed parishioners all seemingly asleep. But then they wake up and find out it had been 400 years since their proud village sunk into the earth, and Eustach runs away before they tear him to pieces. But when he gets back out he finds 30 years had passed and he's an old man. The witch magpie has a man attacked by a ferocious magpie seemingly trying to blind him, before coming home to his evil mother as a branded thief, and finding out it was her who tried to kill him in the form of a magpie, and stabs her. Wolf People is one of 2 stories which seem to reach a natural conclusion and then go on anywhere. The last scion of the infamous Augsthaler family gets himself a wife, then loses her. Then the Erdmiller, a local man, has him bound and gagged in the forest, sending a woman to tease him with food and saying he will send a wolf to kill him. But the man bites off the wolf's tongue when it comes close, finds out the wolf was Erdmiller in a werewolf pelt and kills him. Then he himself becomes a werewolf until his new wife gives birth to a wolf cub who kills her. And then it kills him, calling itself the Erdmiller. The she-fiend has a man hire a female servant who turns into a faceless monster at night and crawls into his room. But he bribes her with shoes, and then falls in love with her when she comes to ask for them, looking like a person with a face. But then she hugs a tree too hard and dies. Hog's magic has a villainous glassblower torture a woodman with fire to find a hidden treasure. But then it burns to death and everyone present soon dies a violent death. Black Hees has a poacher get a magic ring from the devil to be invisible. Well, the devil here interprets that as turning into a tree for some reason, but he wants to avoid being taken by the devil in return. After getting his dates wrong and holding on to Christ's ankle at church until morning, he turns himself into a tree. But since the time is up for the ring to lose its magic power, he remains a tree forever. The soul snake is the other story going on for too long. 130-year-old apothecary and poisoner Virgilius Schneevogel is killed by his assistant Roep when he stops the old man's soul in the form of a white snake from coming back into his body. But then snakes pursue Rep everywhere, so he goes abroad, gets a reputation for murdering snakes, and then banishes them from a field before the white snake comes back and kills him. Oh, and the story says snakes don't like to look at naked people. The enmity of the dead has a dead farmer try to kill his wife, but she gives him the corn he wanted to plant when he was alive, and so he goes back to being dead.